So very good afternoon. I hope everyone had a good lunch, but don't try to prove that we had a good lunch by yawning or sleeping in this session. So without any pause, I'll start. First of all, I like to thank that the opportunity was given to me to speak in front of the leaders from different industries who are working in a lot of innovation and digitalization in their respective domains. I'm Rajat. I lead the enterprise pre-sales in MongoDB. In today, like we mentioned, I'll be talking about the reducing the innovation tax. So it's nothing to do with the income tax. It's the innovation tax which we'll be reducing. So as everyone knows, even the first statement was made, data is the new oil, right? So everyone knows the exact power, the competitive advantage we have is all lying between the most important asset we have with us is the data. And on top of the data, what software or application we build. Because in today's competitive world, there is no barrier. We are not just competing across the street. Our competitors are global. Secondly, if we buy some COTS products, everyone can buy that. That will never bring a differentiating value to our customer. Third, if we are innovating something, it should be a sustainable model. And lastly, privacy and security is always the first pillar and the most important thing for building any application. So in order to deliver any modern customer experience, everything is dependent on underlying data infrastructure. And if you look for any modern application we have to build, what do we look for? It should be highly responsive. It should have some intelligence to provide the relevant information. Everyone is going mobile first. It should be supported on the mobile. It should data privacy always the first. It should have some analytical platform in that. And lastly, it should always be improving based upon the need and the competitive advantage we have. But the recent report from the BCG, the Boston Group Consulting, 70% of the enterprise still fails in this type of digital innovation. Why being? Because still now, a lot of customers, they are typically built on around the legacy relational databases. I'm not saying relational databases are bad. They were backbone for the IT industry from last 3 decades. But they were built for a specific use cases when we were dealing with a small set of the data or a fixed set of the schema. But now that problem has become one of the biggest roadblocker for the developers because for them to make any change is not so easy because of the rigidness in the schema that relational database gives. Secondly, the developers, the way they think, how they think the different data models, different data structure, it's not the same the relational databases work. They just talk about columns and rows. And lastly, we need high availability, we need disaster recovery, we need scalability. Relations databases does provide that, but they add another layer on top of that. Nothing is a core part of the engine that provide you all this capability. Those who have worked in the relations databases, they can very much get familiarized with this type of architecture. I have seen in a lot of my customers, entire wall being filled up with this type of ER diagram. Think of that, if you have to make change or if you are doing innovation on this type of architecture, how tough it is. So what I start seeing with the different customer I work with, they have some limitation with the relational databases. They start putting patches of NoSQL, some niche NoSQL databases on top of the relational databases. For example, they brought up the use case of having a graph database, or they have a use case where they want to save the time series data. So what they did, on the relational databases, they start putting the patch with this technology. They provide very limited capability, these niche databases, and they are eventually consistent. Reason being, the data is getting still pulled out from the relational into these things. And these are suitable only for the niche use cases. This is not just a problem. This is just the start of the problem. What else we need in the modern application? We need search. Now search has become the must need of most of the application. And by search, I mean the full text search, so-called Google-like search. That is needed. So if I need to embed that thing in the application, I bring another technology layer on top of that to fulfill the search case. Is it end? No. Now we are talking about mobile first. So you need to sync the data into the mobile. So you bring another technology stack for handling the mobile use cases. Now it ends, still it doesn't end. What we need, we have kept so many data in that. We need to have analytics on top of that. So now another layer getting added. I don't know how much layers I've already talked about. is added on your platform. So in the end, what you see this huge spaghetti architecture with multiple technologies lying as a patches on top of your relational databases. They can be a different technologies. You can see I have listed of them. So the main crux is you are putting hardly 1/3 of your effort in innovating. Rest 2/3 of effort is just going in managing such a spaghetti architecture. Also, it resulted in the fragmented developer experience. You have different operation models as well as security models to deal with each of these technologies. There is significant efforts because you see in the spaghetti architecture, the data is moving in and out from the relational into the different technologies. So a lot of efforts are built on integrating those things. And when you are integrating the things from the different sources, there are a lot of data duplication happening. So what we call this thing is as a DIRT, the data and innovation recurring tax. So you are doing less innovation, but you are paying a lot of tax on the innovation which you are doing. What is the problem for this solution? So the most of the organizations are eliminating the DIRT by building their data infrastructure on the 4 key pillars. First thing is, they try to increase the developer productivity because developers are in today's economy the front face of any company because they are developing the software for them. Secondly, if they develop something, they develop it in such a way the architecture is repeatable and elegant. Security, third time I'm saying, security and data privacy will always be the first thing. Lastly, everyone want to use the multi-cloud power because every cloud is specialized in something. They want to distribute everywhere. So how we can help in this type of situation when you have a spaghetti architecture and these 4 pillars to be built up? So we provide industry first developer data platform that will allow you to accelerate as well as simplify how you build your application on top of the data you have. MongoDB, those who are new to the MongoDB core part is a document model. So document model is something, the similar way, if you have talked to your developer in your team, this is the same model how the developer thinks and code. They talk about codes, the same code objects in their application, the same objects lies in the database layer. It is a flexible. You want to make any changes in the databases, it can be done on the fly. Document also address not only these 2 cases, but a wide variety of use cases on top of that. So some of the customers, they told, okay, MongoDB, it's a new niche database in the market, but that's not the correct statement. MongoDB is a superset of lots of data model, almost all which I know. If you see in this particular diagram, MongoDB, the document model, which is the core of MongoDB, you can save key value. You have a graph data, you can save the graph data. You have geospatial data, you can save the geospatial data in that. You have time series or you have any other big objects. Everything can reside into a same MongoDB database. In comparison to the architecture which I have shown you earlier, where you have a spaghetti architecture with tens of technology to manage, here everything can reside in a single database for you. The other benefit comes is, not only you are saving the different data model in the MongoDB, we are also providing you a unified interface so that the developer doesn't have to learn 10 different languages, or you don't have to keep 10 different operation people or a developers or a DBA to manage all these different type of infrastructure and the software you are building. It's all being accessed by a single unified interface. So the learning curve for your developer is very, very minimal in the MongoDB technology when you evolve. And lastly, we also provide drivers because the next part comes is, okay, I keep the data, how my application going to connect. So almost for all the languages, the modern languages you talked about, they are intuitive drivers which are provided by the MongoDB to work on for you. So now I'm happy. Why? Because I can keep any data model. I have lesser curve for my developer to learn this technology. On top of that, you can build multiple use cases also on the MongoDB. A lot of people doesn't know MongoDB is fully ACID compliance. That's what relation database are being sold. We are ACID compliance, we can do the transactions. MongoDB also support ACID transactions. So you want to build a transaction systems? Yes, you can build that. MongoDB data platform which I'm talking about, it's a fully managed databases service available on all the public cloud. It is embedded with a full text search capability which is powered by Apache Lucene. Because as I mentioned earlier, search has become the must need of every application. So if you need a full text search, that is also embedded in the same platform powered by Apache Lucene. And if you want to do the analytics, because you have data, you have search, you want to do the analytics, we cannot leave that behind. So for doing the analytics on MongoDB, you have multiple ways. One way is it has its own internal powerful aggregation frameworks through which you can do a lot of real-time analytics, real-time powerful analytics on top of that. As well as we provide a lot of visualization way, which comes in the same platform by charts, or even if you have invested in some of the BI tools like Tableau, ClickView, or any Power BI tools you have invested, the same can also be connected on the same MongoDB platform for you. There are some advanced functionality also which can be built on top of the platform we have. First is called distributed application you want to build. Consider a case you have an application which you want to go global. You want to take care of the GDPR compliance as well as you want the data should reside near to your end customer. So in MongoDB platform, you can literally make a database which will be spent across entire world, and the data you can localize to the readers so that it remain under the compliance as well as local to your users. Even couple of years back, we also acquired a company called RealmDB, a very popular mobile database. It is also built on the same architecture of object-oriented, not a SQLite or RoomDB, which is again a legacy mode. After we acquired this company, we also simplified or make the easy life for the developers if they are building a mobile solution. So the mobile solution can be built in a platform itself. So because in a mobile solution, the most critical part is how you are going to sync the data from your edge location into the centralized cloud. So that development, that effort, you don't have to put it. In the platform, after acquiring the Realm solution, we are also providing that platform where you can sync the data from your edge into the centralized location. And lastly, everyone is going microservices. They want a serverless architecture. So the platform, you also have the capability where if you want to spin a database as a serverless offering, that thing is also provided in the platform. So in order to summarize, if you look at this developer platform, we are laser focused on the developer productivity and as well as eliminating the tax on the innovation which you have to pay because of the different technologies you are dealing with. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That's about me. Thank you.